Hi, this is Andrea White. I'm happy to have you here with us today. I'm here to talk to you about an exciting project we're involved in. We're calling it Rise and Shine Bread with the tagline, Baking Things Better. And this is a welcome video to get you associated with what we might be doing in this project. Hopefully you'll be interested in supporting us as we go forward. So what can we know about the project? Well, after a program in Seattle called Community Loaves. You could see what they're doing and read more about them at their website, communityloaves.org. This project started in April of 2020 with 14 bakers donating a total of 49 loaves of home-baked bread to local food pantries in the greater Seattle area. Recently, they have more than 500 bakers, and they have donated more than 3,000 loaves of bread at their last donation occasion. So I don't know that we will ever be that size, but this is the model that we're using. In addition to that, what we're doing here in Arizona in the East Valley is we're trying to connect home bakers from the community who might bake bread for the food insecure. And we're starting in Tempe as phase one in conjunction with the Tempe Community Action Agency. We are initially going to be recruiting 8 to 16 bakers who will bake from a provided recipe, honey oat wheat rolls, and we'll learn more about those as we go along. That being said, that bread, probably a couple of times a month, so to begin, would be delivered to the Tempe program through the Tempe Community Action Agency called iHelp, or the Interfaith Homeless Emergency Lodging Program. They have a day center called the Oasis Center, so sometimes we'll be delivering bread there. So drop-in people could pick up some bread to either eat in the moment or take with them. And they also, as the name would apply, provide lodging to homeless people through local churches, hence the Interfaith Homeless Emergency Program. So we'll be looking at providing some bread, again, to those overnight locations where people might, again, eat the bread that night, or they might take it with them. Who knows what's going to happen beyond then? I think the sky is the limit, but it will rely on important volunteers like you to make it grow. All right, who is on the project team? Well, Andrea White, that's me. I consider myself the founder of the project. We have also had wonderful assistance from 3 chefs at the Rio Salado Sustainable Cafe, and they have done recipe development for us, including Chef Michael Hodkins, who's the director there, Chef Ken Ballas, who's the executive chef, and Dominic Romero, who's the chef in charge of catering. So much gratitude goes out to them for their work in developing and refining a recipe that will work for us. And also, if you look at our website, and I'll share that with you in a second, you'll see that they've created a wonderful video that tells you how to bake the bread. We also want to thank and welcome the Tempe Community Action Agency. Without their help, we couldn't do this project. Valuable support is also offered through Karen Maish, who has taken an initial crack at our web design, Mike and Stacy Hirschauer, who are graphic designers with an organization called Focus Arizona, or Focus AZ, and so we'd like to thank them for their contributions as well. From our University Presbyterian Church and the community, we have several people who have volunteered to help. Dan Abbott, Kurt and Linda Ritlund, I would consider them advisors. And then University Presbyterian Church has agreed to be our fiscal agent. So if people want to contribute money to the project, there would be a link on our website, and UPC, University Presbyterian Church, will collect money and disperse it according to those guidelines. All right. We also then can talk a little bit about what might be happening as far as the next slide. How could you help? Well, certainly, if you're interested, we'd love to have you spread the word, hand out our website for volunteers or donations. Personally, you could volunteer to bake bread. It's our expectation that bread bakers would do so maybe once or twice a month. Eventually, there might be more opportunities, but again, you could pick the months that you wanted to bake and skip months when you're going to be out of town or busy. So maybe once or twice a month, you might volunteer to bake bread. If that is not your forte, then you might decide that you would be willing to be a collection and distribution hub. We'd like to have the bread distributed initially to the iHelp locations within at least 1 day or maybe 2 days after it was baked. So we need a hub to collect that bread and then deliver it to either the Oasis Center or one of the churches that might be hosting an iHelp group of people. Again, if those are not things that you're interested in, we do have some need for people to buy and then help us package supplies. We will be providing our bakers with labels and also with bread bags and also with bread ties. And we may or may not expand into other supplies, but those are what we have initially. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, that would be great. We also need partners to help in managing volunteers and managing the project. So if that's something for you, great. If you have something else in mind that would work for you, just let us know. We are just organically growing, so whatever you can do would be very helpful. The website at riseshinebread.org, and I'll share that with you a little bit later too, is a place where you could volunteer to do any of these things, and including baking bread once we get you registered. And so you could do that, or you can call us, and again, I'll provide you that contact information in just a bit. All right, so how do you volunteer? Well, again, if you can go to our website, there is an I'll help button, and that would be great. You can register there, and then we'll know your contact information and also what kinds of things you might be interested in doing. We'd like to have you attend a live or a virtual orientation. Watching this video would count, or from time to time we might offer live sessions. For now, probably via Zoom, but maybe eventually in person. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, that's great. We'd ask that you review the bread baking video, the recipe, the equipment, and processes, and then you're ready to sign up to bake bread as often as you like. That's also under the website under I'll Help, and so we're hopeful that you'll be able to manage that website. Then you'll bake your bread and deliver it to the designated drop-off spot during a window of time, usually about a half a day, like an afternoon or a morning, something like that. And then we absolutely want you to celebrate that you're making a difference, because this community service project is exciting, but without you, it's not possible. All right, so here's what the bread looks like. So here's some more details on the bread. As you can imagine, if we're going to be delivering initially bread to a homeless population, a whole loaf of bread is too much for them to deal with. And so again, they may eat it when we deliver it to them, or they may throw it in their backpack and take it with them. So here's a standard loaf pan, and this is a standard quantity of bread dough that you would make for a full loaf of bread. And we are asking and providing instructions on how to break this into 4 sections so that they can be broken off and packaged separately and distributed separately with a given label. So there is a wonderful bread baking video on the website, thanks to the Rio Salado chefs. Thank you again for that. We are calling these honey oat wheat rolls, and we're asking for now that you use our recipe. We may branch out to a different type of bread going forward, but consistency is really important to us, both in terms of what we're delivering to our homeless population and also so that the product be consistent. So we're going to ask that you use our recipe and not deviate for now. We are going to ask that you use the recipe that would normally create 3 full-size loaves of bread, but in portioning it out the way you see it here, you get actually 4 portions, and so we'll package those separately, and you can decide that you're gonna bake those 12 portions as frequently as you might like. Now, we don't expect you to bake bread and then give it all away. That would be very difficult. So if you bake 3 full pans of bread, it will make about 12 of these rolls and maybe a little bit more. But we're asking that when you break these apart and package them, that you donate 10. If you want to donate 11 or 12, that's fine too, but we'd ask that you donate 10 and then you keep a couple for yourself. All right, here's some more details on the bread. A single recipe will provide a consistency of product, and that will be helpful as we deliver to our guests. The recipe ingredients are simple. This bread has no preservatives except perhaps the salt, and we're asking that you provide the ingredients. That's whole wheat flour, bread flour, oatmeal, olive oil, honey, yeast, and salt. If you buy your ingredients at your corner grocery store, like an Albertsons or Safeway, it's our estimate that it would cost you about $2.50 to make a batch of bread. And so we're hopeful that that's in your budget. Maybe you want to buy flour in bulk or oatmeal in bulk, or maybe sometime we'll be able to help you provide these. But for now, if you could provide them, that's pretty much the economic investment that you'll make for ingredients. Now, we're also, because we want to make sure that we have a consistent product, we also want to be sure that you are able to help us by using the correct equipment. We know that weather greatly influences the difference between volume, particularly in items like flour. So we're asking that you bake by weight rather than by volume, either cups, something like that. So we're asking that you bake by weighing your ingredients, and so you're going to need some help there. So we're going to ask that you acquire a food scale. Now, you can pay anything you want for a food scale, like the one pictured here. There are some as low as low priced as $10 on Amazon, and that's actually the kind I have, and it works fine. And we can certainly give you some instructions if this is a new piece of equipment for you. You could spend a lot more on a food scale if you wanted, but you don't need to. The ones that are inexpensive are perfectly fine. And as you see these other equipments, know that if the expenditures on equipment is not something that's in your budget, let us know. We expect that would be able to reimburse people if they were willing to make a commitment to bake for us. You're also going to need 3 loaf pans. Now, these are 9 by 5 standard loaf pans. They can be of whatever type of materials that you want. And again, you can get 3 loaf pans for as little as $10 on Amazon. But if you wanted to spend a lot more on loaf pans, you could. If you have more expensive loaf pans, great, but you certainly don't have to acquire expensive loaf pans for this project. And the other thing you're going to need is, in order to make sure that the bread is all done consistently, you're going to need an instant read thermometer. And so those are, again, you could spend whatever amount you want on those, depending on the brand and the quality of these items that you get. So those are as low as 15 on Amazon, and maybe you'll find some of these items on sale for less somewhere. So we've got about $35 in equipment that we're going to ask if you don't have, if you acquire. And again, if that is an issue that might stand between you and being a bread baker, please don't let it stand in the way. Just let us know. And if you're willing to bake at least 3 times, well, then we would be glad to reimburse you for that equipment. Now, how much time is required for this project? Well, if you've ever baked bread before, you know there's some time that you need to pay attention, and then there's some times where the bread is doing its own thing, rising and then you don't have to be there or really pay attention. So the night before you bake the bread, we're going to have you pre-ferment the yeast. It's sometimes called a pouliche, as well as a pre-ferment, but basically you mix up the water and some flour and the yeast, and it can sit for 2 to 6 hours, and you can stick it in your refrigerator until the next day. Now, on baking day, it will take probably a total of 4 to 6 hours from the time that you start the process till you're done, but you only will need to be required to be attentive to the process for about an hour or an hour and a half. So you've got some mixing to do, you've got some kneading to do, either by hand, or if you have a stand mixer and you want to use that, that's an optional piece of equipment. You certainly can use that. And then when it comes time to take things out of the oven, let them cool, and then package them up. All of that time that you're actually needing to pay attention is somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half. So if you would keep that in mind, that would be great. And then if you're interested, again, here's how you can help. You can spread the word for volunteers and donations. You could do that by spreading our website, which is riseshinebread.org. And then you could also sign up to register to be a volunteer. And we just need your contact information and an idea of what you want to do. And then we'll get you registered and send you access to more of the website. The more of the website, recipe and some additional instructions and so on. And that's also where you would go when you're ready to sign up to bake bread. And when will we be baking bread? Well, it's nearly the end of July as I record this today, so we're hoping to kick this project off in August. I know that's a hot time of the year, but we'll have a kind of a slow start in August, and then hopefully as the weather cools off in the fall, we'll be able to accelerate the pace. So on that website, you could sign up to bake bread, to collect bread, all of those things on riseshinebread.org. If you can use the website, that's terrific. If you don't, if you're not a web person, that's fine too. You can call us 480-580-3021. This is Andrea White speaking, and that's my personal cell phone. We might get a dedicated number later, but for now, know that I'm on the phone a lot with my work. So if you get my voicemail and you'd be willing to leave a voicemail, that'd be great. You could also do a text there as well. There's also a contact us form on the website, thanks to our webmasters. So that's what I have to say about the process, and we're really happy that you're here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being willing to help by baking things better, whether you are a baker or whether you are a volunteer in some other regard. Again, here's the website, riseshinebread.org, and the phone number 480-580-3021. Thank you so much. Appreciate your help. Bye-bye.